Warning, the following content may contain elements that are not suitable for some audiences. Viewer discretion is advised.
Gather around the mic every Thursday night. No scripts, no plans, just a verbal fight. It's a mess of genius and a sprinkle of wit. Welcome to the chaos, we're just talking shit. Just talking shit, and we don't even care.
Hey y'all, welcome back to another episode of Just Talking Shit. I'm your host, Courtney.
I'm Chris.
And I'm Josh.
Alright, how's everybody's week been?
Been good. Been real good. How about yours?
Not too bad, not too bad. Can't complain. How about you?
It's been pretty quiet this week.
Yeah, it really has. I mean, you had a busy week, but...
Yeah, I was doing a lot of running around, doing odds and ends, and trying to get things done. But
yeah,
been a little sore this week, too. So.
Always on the hustle. You have been sore. I've noticed you've been sore.
Yeah, my legs shaking a little bit today, more than normal, but...
I noticed last night I could tell you were in quite a bit of pain.
Yeah, I'll get through it. Unfortunately, I had to deal with it, but...
Alright.
I just think it's your muscles rejecting you.
I hate you.
Had to get that started right off the bat.
I hate you. I want to get that started right off the bat.
Right off the rip. Yeah, it is what it is. All right, honey, what's first on the agenda?
Alright, for current events, I've got Bigfoot vlogs. Have you guys seen those on Facebook and TikTok?
Yes.
No, I have not, but I've got a little surprise coming in the near future because you believe in Bigfoot, right, Josh?
Negative.
I thought you did.
But,
Darn it.
Yeah, no, he's never really been a self-proclaimed squasher. I think you got your people confused. But do you know what I'm talking about, though?
No.
You haven't seen the Sasquatch?
So there's actual, like...
It's an AI-driven...
All right, and I've saved some videos just for this, because I knew.
I got on...
They are great.
Wait a minute, you got to hear this. This is good.
And it's like he's got a selfie stick and he's got his iPhone and he's vlogging.
Yes, I sent you one. I sent you one.
That's
yes.
what I'm talking about.
Yes.
What do you mean? Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
I didn't know what that's
the daily vlogs. Yes.
Yeah, right there.
Yeah.
So I ordered because I thought Josh was a Bigfoot guru. I thought he said when he believed in Bigfoot but not aliens. I guess it's vice versa.
No, I think that moment's brought to you by Puffco.
Possibly. But anyways.
I mean, we do have a podcast. We can always go back and verify.
Possibly. But I ordered a replica Bigfoot toe. It's got hair on it. It's got a toenail on it. It's like this big. I was going to have dirt on it and bring it out and be like, oh, look what I found.
There's a video that Jack, my youngest son, that his mom, she made, and it's, the AI has a picture. It took a picture of me and him together by the river. We were at a wedding, BK's wedding, and we were at a wedding, and we took this real pretty cool picture, father and son, down by the river. It was like real cool, nostalgic picture kind of thing. Man, really liked it. But she did the whole AI with the Bigfoot chasing after us, and it shows us right away. Well, I turned to look at the Bigfoot, and it's got me with a big-ass bald spot right on the back.
Nice.
So we'll have to, I have to get Courtney to post that on our Facebook or Instagram or somewhere. It's a pretty funny one. But yeah, that AI, the whole Bigfoot thing's crazy.
I love them. I'm here for it. I posted a reel on Facebook, and I want to play it.
Okay.
You're going to play it now?
Well, I'm trying to. Hold on. So it's me on the hunt for that vlogging Bigfoot I see on my FYP every day. And it's a dude in a hat with a mullet and sunglasses.
Show the camera.
So for those that are just listening and not watching, we're showing the video to the camera. And if you're listening and not watching, we do appreciate you listening, but why are you not watching also?
Well, this is our first time for them to really watch.
This is no excuse. They should have watched the one
This
before.
Is actually our inaugural video debut.
Yes.
Debut.
Yes.
Debut. Our debut.
Debut.
Our debut.
Right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, we're bringing this to you on video finally.
So you have to have this ready to go.
It's ready to rock and roll.
By Friday.
We're totally walking through this whole video process blind. We're going to be butchering this, so be patient with us.
Yeah, it's going to be a learning curve for me.
Oh, we're going to have fun now.
All right, so next for the current events was this past Friday was Friday the 13th.
It was Friday the 13th.
And apparently, I think that's the only one we're supposed to have this year. I think I read that somewhere if I'm remembering correctly.
You sure about that?
I want to say I'm like 85% sure about that.
I mean, I could always ask AI.
You could.
I mean, you could. Nothing's stopping you.
Well, it is, actually.
Hey, Siri, is there only one Friday the 13th this year?
Okay, I found this on the web for Is There Only One Friday the 13th this year? Check it out.
Yeah, it says Friday the 13th comes from this
Hey.
year, and it's in June, so that happened.
That's what I said.
Why is your Siri an Irishman?
Because I love me an Irish
Yeah,
accent.
that is a good question, and that's what I said. I said it just one time.
Irish.
You like an Irish accent?
Oh, I love me an Irish
And Scottish
accent.
accent?
Scottish. And a
That's
real,
your thing with Drew McIntyre.
And-
the accent.
yes, and a real Southern accent, like a thick.
Like a
Southern
Matthew
drawl.
McConaughey. Something.
No, not Matthew McConaughey. No.
My grandmother had a Scottish.
So, like, okay.
She did.
I,
My grandmother.
you probably didn't.
My
You
grandmother.
see the Twilight movies, right?
What's that?
You've seen the
Unfortunately,
Twilight.
I've seen them.
So,
Some of them.
the dude that plays Jasper, he is from Texas, and he has that real thick Texan Southern draw. And I don't know, there's just something about that when he was visiting his past, and he had that thick Southern draw. I was like, "Ooh, okay, hello." I don't know. There's some accents I like.
Okay.
I'll tell you, Aussie.
Irish is one of them. Australian, I could do.
How about Seymourian? Do Seymourian accents?
Well, honey, I'm with you, so I was.
Hey guys, I guess it's just me and you. So my grandmother had a Scottish accent.
Stupid.
I never said anything about a Scottish
Yes, you
accent.
did. You said Irish and Scottish.
I said Irish.
Josh said Scottish.
Are
And you said
Tress
yes.
acting up again?
No, it's.
I was talking about Irish.
No, he said. Did you not say Scottish?
I said Scottish and
See?
Irish. She said both.
And you said
Hey,
yeah.
Fuck the Scottish.
That's what a lot of people want. We're good looking son of a bitch. That's exactly what a lot of people say.
Anyways, back to Friday 13th, which segues me into what we have decided to call my segment.
Okay.
It is going to be called Folklore, Fact or Fiction, You Decide.
Okay.
So that way we can do a...
That's a great name.
Gee, I wonder why you think so.
I don't know.
It's this humbleness that really just clinches it for
really
me.
is.
I mean,
It is.
He is the humble person of our generation.
I'll be surprised if they can even see that brick wall behind his head with how big it gets. Anyways,
Is that even real brick?
Yes.
hey, where
100%.
is the scary spooky sound? Do you remember? That one. Okay.
Right there.
All right. So this next segment is called Folklore, Fact or Fiction, You Decide.
I like it. I like it.
See, I've been busy this week. I told you.
He's actually been productive.
Yes.
Retirement allows that.
Okay. So,
Those
anywho,
of us that work for a living, though.
Well, I carried you guys for years, so now it's your turn.
We do appreciate your commitment to the community.
Thank you. Thank you. I know there's a biased under a sarcastic undertone probably. And
No, I was Vince.
all right, y'all. It's time for another round of Folklore, Fact or Fiction. And today we're diving headfirst into a day that makes us superstitious sweat and black cats get side-eyed. Friday the 13th. Let's talk bad luck, cursed history, and the real reason you might want to stay home next time the calendar lines up just right. There, was that better?
Really good.
we can't answer.
Yeah, against remember what you said.
Our mics are still muted.
That was really good. I think, but can you do it again? Because I really wasn't hearing what you said.
Are you fucking kidding me right now?
I heard you.
So why does Friday the 13th freak people out so much? Is it just because horror movies told us to? Kinda, but this actually goes way back, like biblical and Knights Templar kinda back.
But what does the Knights Templar have to do with it?
I don't know. It doesn't really give me all that information.
Doesn't tell you about Friday the 13th?
It's more. There's more.
Hey,
This is
hey.
part of
I
it.
got headphones in. They're not hearing aids. You don't have to yell.
I just want to move on. I'm done. Hey, you both right.
Blake, he was going to cuss us as Blake. He's going to yell at us so hard.
Yeah, his biggest. You know what pets his peeves is y'all cut me off. He can't stand it. He's like, you're telling a story and it's something I want to hear, and they just constantly cut you off.
Okay, go ahead. I'm not going to say nothing.
Oh, are you sulking right
No,
now? No.
I'm going to let you talk. That's how I'm doing like I would anybody else. I'll let you talk.
First off, Friday's always been considered unlucky. Some believe Eve gave Adam the apple on a Friday. Jesus was crucified on a Friday, and then you toss in the number 13, considered cursed since the Last Supper had 13 guests, and the 13th was Judas. Recipe for chaos. And go.
Okay.
And
I'll go real quick. How did they know that Judas was 13th person in the room?
yeah, how do they know how many people were in the room?
I'm sure they counted.
It said how many people were at the table. It didn't say.
Does that include the person counting?
But how do they know that Peter wasn't the 13th?
Oh, yeah, he might have been the 13th. Who was the 13th?
Well, maybe because Judas freaking betrayed
Or-
Jesus.
so
they were
that-
like, hey, we're going to make him the fall guy because let's be honest, he betrayed him. So what's the harm?
It's one of those things where the end.
But do you know there is a Harry Potter reference about the 13th guest that comes to the table? If there's 13th guests dining at the table, the first to rise is the first to die. Coincidence? I think not. I'm just saying.
So you're saying Harry Potter and Jesus are the same people?
I'm just saying there is a correlation there.
Oh, okay.
No correlation. Absolutely none. Zero.
13? 13 guests, 13 disciples. First to rise, first to die. Guarantee at the Last Supper, Jesus was first to rise. And he was first to die.
I thought you just said you guaranteed that. Are you going to guarantee that?
You know, I didn't mean to say guarantee.
Mm.
That was just a forethought there. Didn't really think about it. I was just talking. I'm just saying I wouldn't be surprised if it turns out Jesus was the first one to rise and then he was the first to die. Just saying.
You know, somebody's going to be in the comments just like all over this.
I don't know. We haven't had any comments yet because I don't know what the deal is about that.
Where are you people?
I think we have to go to Facebook or like do a live to get real good comments.
Yeah. And we are planning to do a live sometime soon.
Yes.
So be on the lookout for that.
And you're going to start seeing guests show up pretty soon, too. We're pretty excited about that.
So is that all? Is there anything else you guys want to comment about the fact of, I mean, the whole Eve, they claim Eve gave Adam.
Do you think that 13 has some kind of spiritual connotation? Like,
I don't know that it really has a spiritual connotation. Supernatural, yeah.
supernatural? I guess that's maybe more than.
Yeah, that's be more the way I would connect it. I mean, but I'm not very versatile in all the biblical jargon either. So, I mean, I can't say for sure.
I kind of feel like it'd be one of the. You can find a number repeating itself in history, no matter what number you're looking for, right? So if I don't think 13 is anything different. Like if you want to look for a 7, you'll find things that happened 7 times, 7 people that were at an event, and the people that had 7 items on their table, and you'll find that you'll find somebody, that for 6, for 5,
Yeah.
for 4, for 26, for 2. You're going to find numbers repeat themselves in history a shit ton. I don't know that just because 13 happens to be associated with a couple supernatural things that it really has any supernatural.
Yeah.
But I don't necessarily believe in supernatural stuff.
Going back to the Knights Templar that you had asked about,
Right.
this is where that group's in. It says in 1307, King Philip of France ordered the mass arrest of the Knights Templar on, you guessed it, Friday the 13th. Torture, executions, the works. That's straight up some medieval horror movie shit. So apparently that's where the whole Knight Templars
I
were
see
out of
where it
there.
has the origin, but again, like that date it's just
This is just a general folklore of Friday the 13th.
but there's usually at least one Friday the 13th a year, sometimes 2.
I think there's been times where there's been like 3.
Right. So with there being that many over the years and over the years and over the years, a shit ton of events are going to happen on Friday the 13th. I don't think that it's necessarily significant. That's because it's just no.
Well, I think that goes back to the Puritan days and, even the solstice and all that stuff where hell, even let's throw the Vikings in there, where it's a bunch of rituals, gods, and all that. That might be where that stems from too. Part of it.
Possibly. Who knows?
No telling. So,
Welcome to the conversation, Mister.
thank you. I was taking a little medicine.
A little medicine break.
Mm-hmm.
I got some.
So,
Thank you, Doug.
but as opposed to superstitions and folklore in North Carolina, in the mountains, it said that on Friday the 13th, witches hold secret gatherings in the woods and don't take kindly to uninvited guests. So that's probably more fits in with the whole Appalachian, because North Carolina runs through Appalachian, if I'm not mistaken.
It does, but see, and that's another one where I could see there's a lot of Appalachian folklore that Appalachian people put out there to keep people out of their area.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That wasn't uncommon. Moonshiners did it all the time.
Yeah, you got.
It's just not uncommon for people to come up with all kinds of crazy stories in the Appalachian Mountains because they want to keep all kinds of visitors out of there so that nobody's snitching on them for running up on their stills.
That makes sense.
See, I can pretty much.
Yeah.
I can pretty much defuse, man, like most supernatural things. You know, I'm so not a supernatural guy. Most things that people get saved over, I'm like, yeah, or it could have been this. You know, you can't just assume it's supernatural because you don't know the answer.
Right.
In my opinion.
Right.
What else you got on?
Also, too, some Southern grandmas still won't hang laundry on that day because
You're on fire.
Because they believe spirits.
I'm sorry for interrupting you on that one, but you look like a drunk.
Yeah, I know. I had the smoke coming out, and I was like, but so some Southern grandmas still won't hang laundry on that day because they believe spirits roam freely, and if they touch your clothes, someone in your family could die.
That's a really weird superstition to have.
But that is, a lot of superstitions do kind of center around death, and I might do a segment on that.
Can you read that? What you just said? I'm being dead serious.
He was coughing. I don't think you heard.
No, I really didn't.
Yeah, no, you're. So it says, and some Southern grandmas still won't hang laundry on that day because they believe spirits roam freely, and if they touch your clothes, someone in your family could die.
Oh no, they just saw that as a way to take a day off. Yeah, that's
I don't know. Now, listen, there is a lot of superstitions surrounding death. So, and I don't know. We'll do a segment on that one.
I don't know. But it's genius, though. I mean, hey, like, girls, you ever get out of doing chores for a day?
I mean, a lot of them could stem from that. They're like, hey, that could just be someone's clever way. I mean, we've said stuff to kids, just bullshitting out of our ass. We just pulled it out. We're like,
I say stuff people to get out of work.
Oh, it's just a cigar, son.
Yeah, to get out of work. I don't want to do that. Yeah.
And then there's also, I don't know if you guys have ever heard the other superstitions on Friday 13th, like don't start a new journey or don't start a new relationship or don't buy a house or anything on Friday. That's a whole, there's a whole like good luck, bad luck thing about that too. Like I
just think that's paranoia.
It is.
I just don't see any evidence that shows that anything is directly related to that day. Because like I said, you get 3 in 365 or 2 in 365 chances of whatever event laying on a Friday the 13th. And there's been a shit ton of events, thousands and thousands of special events that have happened, random wild things that have happened throughout history. And how many of those have landed on a Friday the 13th is the ones you named? Because they just happened to land on a Friday the 13th. It's just completely random. It could have landed on it.
I know, but I just think, I guess, as humans, we are, I guess, programmed to like just want to know an answer to why things happen. So, become superstitions. I do follow some superstitions. I just, I don't see the harm in believing them. Like, it doesn't, either you believe it works or it doesn't. And if you don't believe it works, then me doing it shouldn't.
I just don't understand.
Yeah, no, and I get that. No, but some people it does. Like, it really does bother some people.
I got on my side.
I don't know.
But some floors don't have.
I do think there are some things out there that you can't explain, though. And you can't tell me if there aren't.
There's all kinds of things we can't explain. Mm-hmm. That doesn't necessarily mean there's a supernatural answer to it. It just means we haven't found the answer to it yet. Mm-hmm. All right, we didn't know the answer to worldwide communication 70 years ago, but now all of a sudden we can talk to people in China.
But we still don't know
face to face.
We still don't know though about ghosts.
That's my point. Is there was a time when we didn't know what the answers were about this. There'll be a time where we know all those answers. It just ain't now.
All right.
But you can't just necessarily, in my opinion, we can, I guess, but it doesn't make sense to me to just attach a supernatural. It feels like it's a default thing when somebody just doesn't know the answer to something. I'm just going to default back to it must be a supernatural reason behind it. And I'm like, nah.
Okay, so here is a strange, speaking of coincidences, because that's essentially what we're talking about right now.
Okay.
You don't believe in coincidences, it's just people have. So here is a strange real world coincidence.
Okay.
On Friday the 13th in 1976, New York's infamous Daz Baxter stayed home to avoid bad luck and his apartment building collapsed. Only fatality was him.
Let's say that again.
On Friday the 13th in 1976,
Okay.
New York's infamous Daz Baxter stayed home to avoid luck. So he stayed home to avoid bad luck.
Okay. What was he infamous for?
That's what I was wondering.
That it just says I guess maybe
He's
because
infamous for this story?
he must be the only one that died in that building collapse.
How do they know that if he stayed home? How do they know he was the only one to stay?
Okay.
You know,
We're going to finish reading it again.
Yeah, please go ahead. I'm serious. I'm just being a smartass. Go ahead. I didn't interrupt you though, but I was being a smartass.
yeah, no shit. It just says I'm assuming it's because he must have made it known that he was planning to stay home on Friday the 13th
So-
because he wanted to avoid bad luck.
And then his building collapsed?
And he is the only fatality. Like, there's no other fatality. It's just him.
Just still seems like.
But he was staying home because he was trying to avoid bad luck. And even then, that didn't. And it happened on Friday the 13th.
Still just coincidence. Like, to me, that's just. Okay, so it's a Friday the 13th. Again, the odds of it landing on the Friday the 13th are not any more or less than any other.
I say it's weird, though.
But think about
It's
that.
odd.
A Friday the 13th, there's no more or less chance of it landing on the Friday the 13th than it is on a Thursday the 12th or a Tuesday the 6th. It's exactly the same odds.
Josh, I think is what you're trying to say is, what if this had happened on Friday the 14th? Nobody would have said anything.
Yeah,
Right.
It wouldn't matter. But also,
But it's Friday the 13th.
happened to happen on Friday the 13th.
Listen, okay, whether you believe it or not, it is still kind of cool. I mean, like, it's not cool that he died. I'm just saying it's an interesting, the background of it.
It would make a plot.
That is my interest in this stuff, is the whole background of it, where it originates from, why it is the way that it is.
I get that.
I get what you're saying. I do. And it makes for a good conversation. It does. That's what we're doing,
Yeah.
conversing.
And it just is just and a lot of this, I just do little short things here and there because I'm not trying to spend. I mean, I could do certain stories if you want to, but I just feel like that's just going. I'm not going to ever get through.
Talking about
I like this.
I just like to give little tidbits here and there. And again, if they want me to go more on a subject, that's where I want them to interact with us more.
Right. Yeah. To let us know in the comments.
So yeah, like I would prefer them, and I appreciate when somebody tells me what they like directly, but I want to come off wrong on this, so I might just mark it just in case. But I would prefer if it was posted to help with our social.
You talking about the comments?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like commenting like on our posts and
Yeah.
stuff like.
So even if you talk to us in person and give us your feedback, also do it publicly because we want to be seen. And
Some engagement, yeah. Like that will help us a lot, especially with,
Talk shit back.
yeah.
Simple. Talk shit back.
And like I said, we do plan to go live at some point in the near future. We just want to make sure we got everything.
But that being said, I remember the conversation we had earlier when I was talking with Jack today, and we were discussing people that may or may not like the podcast. And he said, I said, because I told him, I said, well, it might not be everybody's cup of tea. And he said, well, forget those people. And I'm like, well, no, hold on a minute. Those people still took the time to go and listen to the podcast. And they didn't have to do that. They took time out of their day. I told him, I said, you need to show a little gratitude for those folks. It's okay that they didn't like it, and maybe it wasn't their cup of tea. And that's fine. They took the time out of their day to come listen to it, give it a check, check it out. And we got to be grateful for those guys. So that was a good lesson today. We were able to use the podcast as a way to give him a good, valuable lesson.
So y'all, please if you get an opportunity, please comment.
Yes, please. We'd love
Like
to have your
our-
engagement.
Like our post that Miss Courtney works hard on. And I want to be extra nice to people. Please comment on our post.
All right, so moving on.
She just wrote Chris's name in red. So I've seen that. He must be in trouble. I can decide for a little bit.
So, anywho, we're just gonna truck right on.
Is he gonna get it right up?
No.
No. Damn. Can he get a verbal warning?
Chris, don't do that again.
Oh, okay. Because that's
You feel better?
Because that's worked well on me in the past. Ask anybody that knows me how well that's worked.
Uh-oh.
I don't
We got the
know.
rowdy duck. Time jump.
All right.
Time jump.
So,
Time jump.
moving on to the next segment.
Moving on.
Random rabbit holes. The Mandela Effect.
Random rabbit holes.
So, for those that don't know what the Mandela Effect is, it's a phenomenon where a large group of people remember something differently than how it actually happened. The term was coined after many swore Nelson Mandela died in prison in the 1980s. Spoiler, he didn't. He passed away in 2013. So why do so many people remember otherwise? I don't know that I remember.
Yeah, the funny part about the Mandela Effect is we know so many things that are the Mandela Effect, but the actual Mandela Effect is what we don't know.
Well, it says some say it's collective false memory.
Right.
Others, parallel universes, alternate timelines, CERN, glitches in the matrix.
Do you have other examples of those?
Yeah. So you know the Bernstein Bears?
Mm-hmm.
So
That little family of bears that had the house, and it's like a mom and dad
Yeah.
and a kid. And
So you probably grew up with it being spelled BERENSTIN.
okay.
Bears. Bernstein Bears, right?
Right.
Wrong.
Okay.
It's spelled BERENSTAIN. I remembered it spelled. Yeah.
And that Berenstein.
Well, it'd be Berenstein's the one with the E.
Still pronounced the same. It's just the spelling is what everybody remembers wrong.
Yeah.
Okay.
I always remembered it as spelled STIN.
Yeah, that's what I would have thought it would have.
Yeah, but people are saying it's spelled STAIN.
AI, like Berenstain.
Uh-huh. And I didn't remember that. Do you remember that?
No, I'm going with the first one.
That's what I would have.
Yeah, but they say that's wrong. They say it's always been spelled STAIN. And that's one of those. Another one for me was
We should put the answer to this on social media. We ought to Google this.
Is there an answer though? I mean,
yeah, it says Berenstain with the A. STA.
I need to see if we have any old books at home
Yeah.
and go, yeah, unless it was
But
changed.
you can, but like with the internet nowadays, no, yeah, it's like one of those.
Yeah, that's
So, okay, here's one. What did Darth Vader say to Luke?
I am your father.
Luke, yeah, I am your father.
Yeah, Luke, I am your father.
Nope.
What did he say?
Says Darth Vader never says that. The actual line, no, I am your father.
It never says Luke?
That's what they're saying. That's what they're claiming. It was never Luke, I am your father. But everybody remembers it as.
If anybody quote the movie, they always say it that way. Luke, I am your father.
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest with y'all.
I don't know Star Wars enough to.
I've never seen Star Wars.
What?
You've never seen one movie at all?
None of the Star Wars. Return of the Jedi.
Yes, I did see Return of the Jedi.
I was going to say, there in all the Star Wars. Okay.
Wow.
Yes, I did see. I'm sorry. I did see that as a kid.
Cultured
Yes.
bastard.
Well, no, I mean, as a kid.
That's one of the biggest pieces of pop culture. That's like the Michael Jackson
I'll
of
tell you
movies.
straight up here. Not all of us went to the movies as kids. I went to drive-in sometimes.
Dude, you gotta sneak in. We were young enough to sneak in movies. Like when we were kids, you could still sneak into movies.
No, not when I was a kid.
Yeah, you're older than I am. You'd have been able to do it before I would have been able to do it.
No, I didn't live in a rural area.
Where'd you live in? Like out in the boondocks?
Little place called Michigan.
I was going to say
Yeah.
Detroit,
You didn't have movie theaters in Michigan?
Yeah, but I'm saying it wasn't out in the rural area.
Oh, out in the hood.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It wasn't
Well, rural, I think he means more like country, right? It
Right,
wasn't out
yeah.
in the country.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm not. It wasn't out in the country.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I asked you if you lived out in the boondocks.
No, I said I did not live in a rural area.
Okay, so you should have fucking movie theater around.
We did.
Okay. Anywho,
Said it's harder.
anywho,
You-
back
that-
to the
That's called the Mandela Effect.
No, that's called
classic example right there.
That's called the Puffco effect.
Mm-mm. No, I'm good.
That's the Puffco effect.
No, that's the Mandela
Anyways,
Effect.
but honestly, one for me personally is there was this Genie movie that they say Shaq did. And I seen the one with Shaq,
Oh yeah.
but there was one that Sinbad did as well. And they say
people
that
say
one
that.
does not exist. And yes, it did, because I remember watching it as a kid.
So many people remember watching it.
But they swear up and
I've heard
down
of this one before.
that it does not exist.
I said that the other day. Well, when you and I were talking about that,
Yeah.
I saw that.
And I seen it. I was like, no, I seen the one with Sinbad. I seen both. So you can't tell me that like the one with Sinbad, but they're like, no, that didn't exist. I'm like, okay, no, that's some bullshit.
But even in the record of even Sinbad saying that he didn't do it, and he has no clue why that people are ever come up with that.
I don't know if that's thing or not. Actually,
I mean, if we're saying it on here, I'm sure it's fact.
Oh yeah, 100%, 100%.
Because if you listen to our podcast and you assume everything we say is fact, you've started off with problems.
1,000%.
So the movie I'm talking about is Shazam.
Yes,
Is that the Shaquille one?
So they are saying that Sinbad played it, and so now they're saying they both played it. There was a point in time,
No, I remember that being a Mandela
right?
thing.
Yeah. Now they're saying they both played it.
It's the internet, man.
That's what I'm saying.
I think they're gaslighting.
Yeah, it's the internet. You're probably gonna find people arguing both sides.
Okay, so what they're saying now is there is a popular misconception that Sinbad played a genie in a movie called Shazam. However, this is largely due to the Mandela Effect. The actual movie where Shaquille O'Neal played a genie was titled Kazam.
Kazam.
Seems there might have been a time where Sinbad admitted to being in Shazam, attributing it to a difficult period in his life. However, this claim is questionable and is likely intended as a humorous response to the persistent Mandela effect around his movie. No, he played that movie. And yes, it was Shazam.
Apparently not.
Well.
If it's on the internet, it's true, honey.
Okay.
It was Shazam.
Okay, so what about Pikachu's... Shit,
Who?
let me try that again. Pikachu's tail.
I don't know enough about that to know anything.
It says, remember the black tip on Pikachu's tail.
No.
No, I don't. I'm being serious.
I know.
Okay. I mean, and I don't either. It says it doesn't exist.
I could
Never
think out
did.
that character if I seen him like on a
Yeah,
paper.
but I
But I
would
don't-
not know enough about his tail to know if
Yeah, I
that
don't know enough
was
detail.
the Monopoly Man's monocle. He
Oh, I've
had
seen this
a
one, too.
monocle.
Yeah.
He did have a monocle, 100%.
He did, but they're saying the iconic rich dude in the game doesn't have a monocle. You're thinking of Mr. Peanut, probably. No, they both. He had one.
Now, Mr. Peanut does have a monocle, but
I remember
so
the
did
bald
Monopoly.
dude in the black jacket with the
Yeah, I don't.
gray pants
I don't
with the
know that he
monocle
did have
on his
one.
eye.
I don't know that he did.
I swear that
he had
did.
the top hat that he wore.
He had the top hat.
And he had a
I
monocle.
don't think he had the monocle.
I think he
And
did,
then
though.
I think the
I
other
thought he
guy,
did, but
the
I-
other one that had the monocle didn't have the top hat. The only thing that made
No, Mr. Peanut had a top hat, too.
Oh, yeah, he
Yes,
did
he
have
did.
peanut.
You're right.
He did have peanut. But the thing that made them, yeah, he did. I think, but I don't think
Mr. Peanut wasn't dressed in any other clothes except for the freaking shoes, cane, glasses, and the top hat.
And the peanut.
Where the monocle, or where the Monopoly dude was dressed in a top hat, the monocle, the black jacket, white undershirt, and gray or black
I don't
pants.
think he had the monocle.
I mean, maybe not, but I could have sworn that.
I could have swore he had a
This is where
monocle.
we need to
but
see if we can borrow Jamie from Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
Well, Jamie, we looked that up for us.
Okay, here's another one. Fruit of the Loom logo.
Oh yeah, I remember this.
Do you guys remember there?
So these I remember.
Do you remember there being a cornucopia behind it or no? I remember there being a cornucopia
Yeah, that's
behind
what,
it
yeah.
yes.
at one point. They're saying there never was.
The fruit was flowing
Yeah.
out. Of
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're saying there never was. Even though thousands swear it did,
the logo
they're
was
saying
just the fruit and not the cornucopia on it.
there
Right.
never was
Right.
a cornucopia. I'm
Yes,
like,
there
yeah, no,
Yes,
there was.
there was.
Yeah. Okay, what about Snow White? What is the quote that you guys remember?
I don't remember a quote from
Wait.
Snow White.
Yeah, I don't know that I recall exactly.
Which one? Okay. Did you guys remember as Mirror, Mirror on the Wall?
Oh, okay. Mirror,
yes.
mirror on the wall.
Who was
Who's
the
fairest
fairest?
of them all?
Right.
They said the actual quote is Magic Mirror on the Wall.
Really?
I've always remembered it as Mirror, Mirror on the Wall.
Same.
That's what I've always.
But I was never that into Snow White. So I have not seen the original cartoons as a kid, so I can't for sure say.
I was going to say that's.
I just that could be one of the cases. Like I heard somebody say "mirror, mirror," and
Yeah, I
thought that's
remember
what.
the original ones coming in those real. When the original Disney movies came out on VHS, remember they were in those real heavy white thick
Right.
cases.
Well, it could be that it's been, like you said, programmed into us.
Yeah. Oh, see, here's the thing. I think here's the thing with the Mandela Effect. So, like, you know, with certain songs, you sing it a certain way, and then you find out the actual lyric is actually said a different way, but you've really thought
for so long.
Mhm.
I wonder if it's like a case of that. Does that make sense?
Something similar to that.
Yeah, like something similar to that. Like
That's what. Yeah, like that's
Like
what I mean
we've
by
heard it,
program. That's what I mean by program.
but like
You perceived it wrong to start with, and
Yeah.
living that lie in your head for so long.
so yeah, that I mean, because there's been plenty of times I've went back and watched a movie and I've caught things I didn't catch the first go around.
Right.
So who's to say I didn't misunderstand what they said the first go around? So like with the whole Snow White and stuff, I'll give them that. But with the whole Fruit of the Loom and the genie and all that, that's where I have an issue.
Because when you're a middle class kid, like we all kind of grew up that middle or lower middle class or middle class kids, like we grew up wearing Hanes and Fruit of the Loom. Like that's the brands of underwear we wore.
Well, there's commercials. And was there not? I know they all dressed as the fruit, but
Yeah, I do remember that.
I don't know. I can't.
I don't remember there being a loom as being part of the.
But I
people
just
in the
feel like
suit.
when they showed the label, like the tag.
Because it was on the left side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was flowing out.
Like you couldn't miss it. Like it stuck out. Like it wasn't like it.
100%.
I don't know.
It was golden in color, or like a basket color.
That's just where I pissed on my.
But no, but it was like a real basket color. It was like a normal, like natural basket color.
Mine was golden from where I pissed on my tidy whities.
Yours probably was. I bet it had a streak in the back too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's skid marks. I trust.
What's wrong with that?
What's that scene in The Water
I just
Boy?
turned it inside out. If I want to,
I just wanted to get that out of my chest again. Remember? What?
The door's open.
Oh.
We invited some spirits in. Chris about died.
Well, you guys both pointing behind me. I'm like, that's where it
Please tell me
happens.
the camera was on you.
It was.
when
No,
that
it was
happened.
on you.
No.
It was on you.
Damn it. Oh, shit.
your way.
Do I need to get over there?
No, you're good. I got it. Please take it.
Hold
You
on.
guys are both
Hold on.
pointing.
Hold on.
Time lapse.
All right.
Time lapse.
So, some of the theories they have based behind this madness of the Mandela Effect is memory distortion, where your brain fills in gaps or merges memories.
Mm-hmm.
Like I mean, I probably see that.
Yeah,
But
that's what we just said.
Yeah, of course. The
Right.
weird part is though,
Essentially,
is everybody's filling in the gaps the exact same way.
That's what we just talked about. Remember?
No.
It fills in the gap. Trying to make y'all think. Yeah, we just talked about this. Remember, you said time warp.
Oh, you're talking about parallel universes, which is
Oh, is that
what I'm about.
Yeah.
Which is what I'm coming up on now. God, I cannot talk tonight.
That's all, folks.
No, it's that candy bar. It gets a little bit thick.
It really is, but it's good.
Yeah.
It's good. Shout out. I will do that later. But yes, it is good.
Yeah, we'll do. We got.
Yeah, you had that. Yeah, you got that right at the end. Yeah, you got it.
Yeah.
This is good though. But that other one last week was a little thicker. It's just dark chocolate, but the nerd rope would be. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to get off track there.
Another theory is parallel universes colliding. Some believe we slipped into a new timeline. And that's the one I've heard the most, honestly. As they feel like the Mandela Effect is timelines merging, so it erases or changes.
Right.
I mean, if you think about the butterfly effect.
Here's a thought. What if we're not, you know how when you sleep, you dream?
Mm-hmm.
What if we're the dream?
Right.
And when you go to sleep, that's actually you waking up.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
My dreams have been a little bit weird here lately, so I really hope not.
I mean, what if that's the reality? It's what you have small memories of what actual reality is, and this is the dream.
You know what I've always kind of low-key thought? What if us dying is us waking up from
And everything we experience is just what death is?
Maybe.
Or
if you want to go Matrix route, simulation.
Okay, how about this one?
Or this is all a dream.
This is a dream, and us dying is us waking up into
reality.
How about this? You ever been had a close call? Like driving, close call?
Sure.
Yeah.
What if you actually died and you're just, this is your conscience just keep going on?
Yeah. You ever seen that movie Soul Survivors? Essentially what that movie is, there's a wreck, and then the girl, it's based around this girl, she goes on living, but her boyfriend has died. Has died, and I think maybe one of her other friends has too died, but she's going on living after this wreck that her boyfriend has died or whatever. But what really turns out is she's in a coma, and he's really still alive. So when she wakes up, but she's having to play out this whole thing in her coma. See, I've always wondered that.
She wakes up and she's confused because in her mind, everything she was dreaming is reality.
Yeah.
I got you.
So and I've always wondered too about coma. I just wonder what happens when you're in a coma. Are you aware? They say you are, but do they really know? They can't really know.
Imagine that you're not conscious. It's just like being asleep.
Yeah, but some people have said they've heard other people.
So if you have any medical experience and you know the answer to this question, put it in the comments.
Oh, pump the magic dragon over there.
And then, okay, so I may be lost on this. What is CERN? CERN.
That's CERN it's a global, when they fire up CERN, it messes with the weather. I didn't know anything about it.
Still don't sound like you know anything.
No, we can make a phone call. And
time lapse.
All right, so CERN is the European Organization for Nuclear Research. Is an intergovernmental organization that operates the largest particle physics laboratory in the world. Established in 1954, it's based in Marin, western suburb of Geneva on the French-Switzerland border.
Swiss makes sense if that's where they'd be.
Yeah, CERN is. I didn't know anything.
So this is not a government organization. This is a private organization that's working on.
It's an intergovernment. It's got a lot.
Well, they're just saying that they fired at the Large Hydrogen Collider, and
that's
conspiracy theorists thinks it created a rift in reality. So that's their theory. That's one of the theories.
What makes them think that happened? I wonder.
I mean, they have a Large Hydrogen Collider. I mean, they are in possession of one.
Yeah. But why is just them owning that all of a sudden? Okay, since they have one, there must be a rift in our.
They fired it up. They fired CERN up.
But what's the evidence that a rift even exists? That's the part I'm trying to figure out.
The Mandela Effect.
Yeah, the Mandela Effect. That's what they're saying.
Oh, okay.
That's why. And then simulation therapy.
Bless you.
Excuse me. Sorry. A little late, but thank you.
I got you on video sneezing in case you kicked off, in case one of them took you out. I had video of it, and I put it on loop.
But
this is the one that got him. Sorry.
The last theory I have. Oh shit! I gotta get 10 bells. Hold on.
The last theory you have.
Can you hear me?
Can hear you.
Okay, there we go. All right.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
All right. So the last theory is simulation theory. If life is a sim, maybe the developers pushed an update. That's what they're saying. That if they updated our simulation experience, it changed.
God put an update.
I
Just like how we have to download updates for our phones all the time. We're just part of the update.
Yeah, and maybe that was one of the bugs or whatever. It changes our memories.
People have a creative imagination.
I really do.
Or was their imagination created?
Boom. Hold on. Which one is it? Oh.
There it is. Wow. I was like, how long is this thing going to whistle? Wow.
I told you I've been busy this week.
Oh, wow. You never cease to amaze me, Spark.
So then,
Thank you.
that's all we have for the rabbit hole, though. Unless you guys have anything else. I mean, I gave my personal experience. Do you guys have any?
Rabbit hole?
Or like personal experience with the Mandela Effect, that there's something you remember one way?
Well, I was sitting here thinking, everything I'm thinking of, like, no, that's more deja vu than Mandela Effect.
Deja vu is weird, though, isn't it?
That could be its own subject.
I get it all the time.
That could be its own subject.
Yeah, we will do that.
Right, what, 52 minutes in, right?
Yeah. We still got shout outs.
And we still have your high idea.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were saying like we're done. I see what you're saying.
Yeah, is that just with the segment?
That's what I was going to say. I was like, okay, we got to come up.
No.
Yeah, we still got ideas. We still got shout outs. We still got all kinds.
Okay, that's why I was like,
Yeah,
we ain't played the game. Are we playing games this week? Are we going through all those cards?
No, we still have another thing to go through that I think's gonna
take up time.
Yeah.
Okay. This is right.
Yeah, I forgot about it. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I was like, dude, I was thinking when you put that down, I took it and put it over there.
Well, I'm your Huckleberry, as they say in the movies.
Say Wayne.
All right, here we go. Hold on.
Hold on.
Say Wayne.
Pause. Hold on. What we doing?
Ideas when we get high, we're floating in the clouds and we're up in the sky.
Yeah.
Ideas when we get high, my brother, my sister, come on, give it a try. We get ideas when we get high, we're floating in the clouds and we're up in the sky. Ideas when we get high, my brother, my sister, come on, give it a try.
That was good. I like that. I like that. That's
introduce
first time.
us to high ideas.
Nice. That's my first time hearing that. I like that.
Like I said, I've been busy this week.
Yeah, yes.
Yes, you have. So busy.
Okay, so Chris actually had this high idea, so I'm gonna let you start it off.
Can you kind of refresh me because I've had.
Okay, you want me to just read the message you had sent me?
Oh no! I know what you're talking about. You're talking about the food.
Yeah.
So I started thinking this week, a little idea here.
That's good.
My generation, I'll be 50 this year.
Jesus.
But I look good for 50. So you ladies out there, hey, just wait. It only gets worse. But yeah, so my generation is really, and Josh, you're up there with me too, but our generation, they're the first one to really and truly then given the diet with all these preservatives, carbohydrates, or extra additives, the dyes,
all the words you can't pronounce,
all the bad ethyl bad shit, as we call it.
Ethyl bad shit.
Yeah,
it's all that shit you can't pronounce. All those words you can't, like, dude. If there's things got more syllables in it, I can't pronounce all this.
Right, but they, a lot of people talk about, well, the vaccines are causing autism, ADHD, it's causing this problem.
Right.
Is it so much the vaccines? Because our parents got vaccines. But here's the thing. When they start putting all these dyes and stuff in our food, and then our children, it's our children's generation that's really the first one really have ADD and
right,
all this. I think it's more related to the food.
Birth defects based on all this processed shit we've been consuming.
So this is my question. I might be getting into some conspiracy theory type stuff.
That's all right. Roll with it.
But I've been around long enough to know that you can trace everything back pretty much to $1, right? And this also leads me, I know, to ask this question. Who's benefiting from this? So that leads me to think the Food and Drug Administration has got to be in with Big Pharma, because they also attack the use of cannabis products because they're losing business.
Right.
So
speaking of that.
Yes.
I did watch a couple documentaries today.
That's the problem.
Well, I need somewhere to set this.
Yeah.
I'll move that back.
Or you can set it here if you want.
You watched some documentaries today?
There. That's good.
Oh, yeah. You were watching that one about food and sugar today. You were talking, because Chris, you were talking about, all the processed stuff that's in food now and how that generation was affected. And she was actually watching that show today about that.
Yeah.
So it's actually called Food Incorporated. And honestly, there's a lot of documentaries about the whole food industry.
Oh, yeah, there's a ton.
I don't think a lot of people are aware about exactly how much. And when you watch them, it really makes you think.
About how all the different industries work, from the processed food to the cattle to the dairy to
and this
to the bread to the everything.
It's a bipartisan issue too, because I mean, look at RFK. He came from the Democratic Party. Republicans, everybody should be on board with having healthy food.
Yeah, agreed.
So everybody, it doesn't matter what side.
This documentary that she was watching was talking about, and it talked a lot about how obesity is. It's a large problem throughout the world, but more concentrated in the United States than anywhere else.
Oh, yeah.
Because every bit of our food is made out of sugar.
Yeah, all the sugar.
A lot of sugar.
Glucose. And
so
we got more
here is, so in 1980, just put it in perspective, 1980, we had 0 adults with type 2 diabetes. 2010, we had 55,000 adults diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. And that's 1980s, like late 1970s, 1980s.
In that 30-year run
is when they started introducing more sugar into the foods. And another little fun fact that I didn't know about till I watched it, and I have looked, if you look at the nutritional value on like the back of the boxes, look at that. Look at the sugar. Is there a percentage beside the sugar?
Yeah, what percentage of your diet that should be?
It's only a...
No, does it show a percentage?
Yeah, it's only 130%.
No, does it say a percentage on sugar?
It's 130 grams.
130%.
No, what I'm saying, where it says total sugars right there, it does not have a percentage. You see how everything else does?
Let's see.
Total sugars does not.
Right here. Look at
Total sugars.
Total sugars include 65 grams.
See right there where it has no percentage, like the rest of the columns do?
No, because the read underneath it.
What I'm saying is this right here, the percentage.
Watch it, you're going to spill it on yourself.
The percentage right here.
Yeah.
Sugar is
I see. Okay, yeah. Yeah.
She's having to hold his hand through this process.
Yeah, I see. Fuck you.
So they said where that comes from is that, I guess during that late 70s, early 80s thing that she was talking about, it became kind of a government issue, a point that the government was all standing on to fight obesity. So what they figured out is, it was the fat, that we got far too much fat in our food. And so everybody, if you remember, Chris, everybody was going to a low fat, no fat type diet.
I don't mean to interrupt you, but let me just help you with they gave an example.
Okay.
It is, so what they're saying are calories aren't actual calories. Like the way you count calories aren't exactly the way that you need to do it. So as a comparison, so almonds and Coke.
Mm-hmm.
So you eat almonds, that's worth 160 in calories. Because it's full of fiber.
Right.
It's going to go slower through your digestion. Therefore, it's not going to send your liver into overdrive.
So you're not going to produce extra insulin.
To where your pancreas sends the insulin to where it reduces it to fat. But Coke, where it has no nutritional value, is just pure sugar. It goes straight to your liver, which screams out it's an overload. So your pancreas ends up developing insulin, which turns it into fat.
And cranking out insulin then.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's why they're saying you can do the same amount of calories.
It's just got to be quality calories.
Yeah. But that's why a lot of them say not to even go for the reduced fat or the sugar free, or
most of the reduced fat has higher sugar content to give it flavor.
Yeah. So, it might be reduced in fat. See, that's where they can play with the carbs and stuff.
Right.
But they can't play with the sugar. They have to up the sugar.
Yeah.
And where sugar
is... make it palatable.
And basically, sugar is high fructose syrup, which is corn.
Right.
So who's behind?
It's the food industry, because they're trying to market their food.
Right.
You know, the brighter the colors.
Would it be a possibility that big pharma's also benefiting from this?
Oh, yeah. Big Pharma is...
So my question is, how did Big Pharma get this approved? How did people get this approved through the FDA? That's my question.
It's bought.
Exactly.
The more people that live on a diet like this, the better Big Pharma is going to do, because they're going to have far more patients, and that means far more prescription drug orders, far more doctor visits.
Money's in the treatment, not the
Listen,
cure.
I know there was a documentary. I couldn't really find it. I've had a hard time finding it, and I feel like there's a reason I haven't been able to find it, and I know I watched it, but it was a documentary about how, the Health Heart Association and the Diabetes Association, their website, they go in there and they have those recipes that are supposed to be heart healthy or low sugar. From my understanding in this documentary, they were saying that they're not exactly heart healthy or diabetic healthy. They're designed to keep you on the system to where you have to get medications and stuff. I don't know how true that is. I'm saying I know I watched that documentary about it. Now, and it did make me think, because, I work in the healthcare industry. It's a money racket.
You see.
It really is. It's, people.
There's no reason why when you go to a hospital, a single Tylenol should cost you $32.
No, not at all.
There's no reason why when you go to a hospital and you get a can of Coca-Cola, that it costs you $16.
Here's my personal opinion, and it's probably not very PC when it comes to my industry, but healthcare and the insurance in this country is a racket. In the fact that you decline a test or, something that the doctor recommends, you decline it, you don't want it, but they can still bill you based on the recommendation by the doctor.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy to me. You did not have that service performed. You should not be billed for it. I get your doctor recommended it.
Yeah.
But you are signing paperwork. Because a lot of times when you go against their advice, they want you to sign that paperwork that you're leaving against medical advice to cover their ass. And I get that point. And I get that. But also, to that point, do not sit there and charge these people for the test that you wanted to run on them and they didn't want, because a lot of people can't afford it. But then you're running it anyways.
And it's up to the individual, should be up to the individual to decide what treatments or tests they want done on themselves.
Yeah.
And if you choose to opt out of a test, I'm not comfortable taking that test.
The way that we bill in healthcare that I do not agree with at all. And it's ridiculous. It really is. And that's where Big Pharma does come in, because, okay, let's look at Johnson & Johnson and Pfizer and stuff. You're telling me they didn't have an incentive to put something out for and do you know how many people that's been messing up that's gotten those vaccines?
Yeah. Yeah, that's...
You stand up.
No, I'm good.
And Pfizer is...
And honestly, that's why I didn't get it. And it's funny, because when you don't get the vaccine... this was my experience. People were like, "Oh, are you anti-vaccine?" I'm like, "Well, no, I got measles and mumps and all kinds of vaccinations. I have no problem with proven vaccinations. There just hasn't been enough time for any of these to be proven effective yet. I want to give it some time to be honest with you. I don't want to be the first guinea pig. I want to let other people be a guinea pig for that product first, and then I will." You know what I mean? You were a guinea pig?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I appreciate you doing that. But I just wasn't confident. Like I said, I wasn't confident that there had been enough time for there be a track record yet. Well, so that was my biggest thing. I didn't have a problem with vaccinations that were proven to have worked and had a track record and had a history of working. I just did not see that with these vaccinations, so I didn't want to take it until I'd seen that.
I had a big problem with the vaccination, because the reason I took it was because supposedly you wouldn't have to wear a mask.
Right.
Yeah, that was the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then they still got it.
Yeah. So I
got it, and they still
made it mandatory to wear a mask.
So it was like, okay, that's when you really knew they were full of shit on the whole thing. It's like, okay, yeah.
Thank you. Yes. Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, mask did not do anything.
No. I kept joking all the time, and I knew it's going, and everybody said it was going to come back to haunt me. I always just kept telling Courtney, I was like, I can't get COVID. And she's like, what do you mean? I'm like, I'm immune to it. I just can't get it. She's like, how do you know? I'm like, have I ever had it? I got more proof I can't get it than you have that I can.
You ever get it?
Nope.
Because you never got tested.
I think I had it at one point. I think I had it right before it became like a big deal. Because there's that December.
Same year.
I couldn't. So I go to the mall and I get the chicken teriyaki from the mall. Okay, that stuff is flavorful. Okay,
yeah, that shit's good.
Could not taste it.
Talking about Baystown.
Yeah, or
no, even Westtown, they got a couple of different Asian places.
Yeah, the Shakira or whatever it is.
Yeah, both those Asian restaurants.
They're very curious. Like you just know the taste.
They're always giving out either hickory bourbon chicken or like.
But I remember it was that December. It was right before it became like a big pandemic. But like it was a good week there. But I go there and I go to eat and I'm eating this. I'm like I can't really taste it. Like it's not.
Wasn't the full flavor.
Yeah. So and I mean I was
pretty
feeling
flavored.
Yeah, and I was feeling rough there first, so I think I may have had that. I may have had it then, but
and I didn't get it, and we were together. I told you. Like I said, I have more proof that I can get it than y'all have that I can. Yeah. That's all I'm saying.
Huh. Well, that's also still when I was living with Dad too, so I wasn't around you as
much then. Yeah.
Yeah, so I feel like just dodged a bullet on that.
Or I can't get it.
Or that.
I'm just. Watch everybody at home, everybody listening's going, this dumbass, he's going to be the next one that gets it.
What do we got next?
But you know what? I don't really get like sick. I don't get the flu that much. Like I might get once a year or once every other year, I might get a 2 or 3 day where I just feel like shit for a couple of days. But even then, I don't stay down long. I'm usually back up pretty quick.
Everybody else feels like shit every day around you.
That would be their problem, not mine. I feel fantastic, except till I have to bend over, kneel down, or squat, or
wake up,
or
move.
Yeah, anytime I have to move real fast, everything hurts. Then I don't feel as fantastic. But most of the time, I feel fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sorry. What's next time? What you got, girl?
I guess what pets your peeves, and you want me to write down the 4-way stop because you were worked up about that earlier this.
Yeah, that's a big pet peeve of mine. At the 4-way stops. So when you pull up to a 4-way stop, like an intersection with 4 stop signs, not a red light, but 4 stop signs, we all know the rule, right? When 2 people pull up, it's the person that arrives first that has the first to go. Well, I hate when you do that and you're the first one to pull up, or you're the second one to pull up, rather, the other person pulls up first, but they just go ahead and wave you on. And I'm like, no, just go first. Like, just obey the rules, because you're going to fuck up for everybody else. Like,
fucking up the rotation?
You're fucking up the rotation.
Okay.
Yeah, because that's what maybe I'm stuck on rotation. Don't fuck up the rotation. But it's one of those things that Courtney, she'll tell you I cuss it every time we see somebody do it. Drives me insane.
Yeah, or what if you both pull up at the same time? Do you know the rule?
Yeah, I go first because I'm me.
If you both pull up at the same time, the rule is person to the right. Yep.
Yeah, I know that. We all have driver's licenses.
But Tennessee does not require you to go to driver's education, though.
No, you just have to be able to pass the test. If you can pass the test, then you know enough of the laws, and they figure you know enough of the laws and stuff.
See, in Michigan, you go through driver's training in high school.
We have the option to do it in high school. It's offered. I took it. I took driver's ed in high school, so it's offered. You're not.
Yeah, I took driver's ed at high school too.
Most of the time, your driver's ed teacher was like your coach. It's the ones that didn't really want to teach an actual class.
Had old Mr. Kirby.
Yeah, we had several that taught it. But most of our teachers that taught it did teach in another class.
Ours was Kirby and...
Shout out to Mr. Kirby. Back in the day.
Hickman?
Shout out to Hickman.
I don't know. I forgot.
Ours it was this guy named Cotter. I think he's passed away now. Cotton Julian, he's passed away. He was a cool dude, though. Everybody liked Cotton. That was our driver's ed teachers.
Yeah.
Or the ones I remember. That's been a lot of years ago.
I had to get that horse and buggy, pull it out of hook it up.
Yeah, back in your day.
Mm-hmm.
Chris had the fastest horse on the block. He had real horsepower.
Yep, 1 horsepower.
Just 1 horse?
Just 1.
All right, well, that's all I have for today.
That's it? How long?
We got our shout-outs. We haven't done our shout-outs yet.
Yeah, no, we were going to do that. I just didn't know if there was anything else, like maybe you guys had
But it's funny, every time you're winding up a segment, you sound like you're like closing the podcast down, don't you?
I thought you were.
Yeah.
Is that all you have again?
No, that's all I have. Like,
Oh,
That's all the material you have altogether?
that's all, yeah.
We hadn't done shout outs or.
yeah.
I'm just saying personally, that's all I have. You guys can't have anything to bring.
That's your job. You're the
That's
producer.
why you said you had an outline.
I did have an outline and we went through it. You know, some things did not take as long as I really thought they would.
See, that's why a timer.
As she slams stuff on the desk. Get her fired up, Chris. Stir the pot, stir the pot, stir the pot, stir the pot. So let's do our shout outs then.
Okay, well, go ahead.
Well, I can't see the board.
Okay, so shout out. So again, 7 years shot.
Shout out to the
S's are kicking my
your
ass
ass today.
tonight.
Good thing we had that de-esser turned up.
shout out to the 7-year sideshow guys.
With Faster Pussycat.
With Faster, they're gonna be playing with Faster Pussycat. Our buddy Andrew's the lead singer for 7 Year. They're awesome. He's the he might tie Chris for the songbird of our generation. That might be.
Thank you.
Y'all might have a tie there.
Say it so
But it's at Open Chord, July 3rd. Doors open at 7. Show starts at 8.
8 p.m. Guys, do not miss it. It is a fantastic show. It's Open Chord in Knoxville, Tennessee. Google it. We don't have to give you the damn
Say it
address.
ain't so silly on a Saturday night.
But it is an absolute blast. We'll be there, so you'll get to see some of us out there if you're listening. So come out and visit us. Come out and visit them. Show them some love. Get some burr. Get some cold burr. Give a little bit of head nods. I want to give a shout out to anybody, any friends, family members.
Did we mention Appalachian?
Not yet.
Appalachian cannabis?
Yes, Appalachian
Yes,
cannabis.
definitely.
They have,
And of course, as always, Puffco.
Go.
All right, and we have partnered our Appalachian friends with our Puffco friends, and it has been a wonderful combination on these podcasts. I do agree.
So you mean we've paired our Appalachian products with our Puffco products?
That's what I was wondering what he's. Yeah.
Well, you just kind of made it sound like
I worded it weird, okay?
You had paired the two of them.
Yeah, I worded it weird. I thought about that after I said it. You come out right.
I was like,
so this tells you folks exactly how good their product line is. This is what this is. This tells you exactly how good.
Listen, I'm not saying we have to be done. I'm just saying this was all.
Courtney said we have a curfew. Apparently, we're in trouble. She's cutting us off.
Let's take a
break.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, go.
Time jump.
All right, and we're back.
Time jump.
So, Chris, you're wanting to talk about?
Yeah. I just
John Fitzgerald.
Thank you. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cough in front of y'all there.
Talk about John Fitzgerald Kennedy.
Yes, JFK files. I thought that we were supposed to be getting some stuff released on that. And because my parents talked about it when I was growing up, so it's kind of interesting to me. And I've often wondered about that. And it seems like it's some shady shit happened. So I'd like to know kind of, more detail about it.
Yeah, I would too. I have my theories. But they did mention, listen to all of us coughing.
It's what this brought to you by Puffco and allergy season in Tennessee.
Yeah, allergy season, Puffco, and Appalachia.
Yes.
Appalachian cannabis. Yeah, they were supposed to release a bunch of stuff about that. There was whatever ties they had, the different government officials, because I think it was that everybody that was involved would be dead now, and so it would no longer affect anything, and then nothing. And then because, hey, we have a cat visitor. Then because of the Freedom of Information Act, they were supposed to release all kinds of stuff.
Right. And they did release some that's been redacted. That was redacted. They had redacted information.
Right.
Am I right on that?
I believe so. Yeah, I had a bunch of it was blocked out and blacked out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd like to know why we're not hearing about that anymore.
I don't know. Like we said earlier, it just kind of went away. Like it just like disappeared.
What do you think, Courtney?
I don't know.
Because you said you wanted to talk about this earlier, so.
No, this is not what I said. You said you wanted to talk about it.
I'm down to talk about JFK all day long.
I am too.
I did a report when I was in school on JFK, and I've been fascinated with the subject ever since. And I totally have my theory about how he killed, but I want to hear how he died, but I want to hear what your theory is.
And this just kind of goes to what we were talking about with the food stuff, because RFK is kicking into that and delving into it.
Yeah.
getting the dyes and stuff fixed.
Yeah.
But, or the dyes taken out of the foods. So this kind of goes hand in hand with that,
A little bit.
JFK.
RFK Jr.
Yeah. So, kind of ties it.
Segue.
Yeah, 100%. We need a.
But what is your theory on who killed JFK and how he died? And
Well,
what is your theory on?
Probably, I share the same theory a lot of people do. I'm sure that if you look, Lee Harvey Oswald got taken out by Jack Ruby. Jack Ruby died. And he died
of, I think it was cancer.
Jail,
yeah, I think it was cancer in prison. I think it was cancer. He got it.
But he already had
a heart attack. It was a medical condition.
It was as cancer, I believe, but he was already sick or already dying when he shot Oswald.
And that I don't know.
I thought.
That could be. I just don't know. I don't know if he was.
Because that's why he was the one to take out Oswald, because he was already checking out.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So that's one theory. So I kind of tend to lean that way. I don't know if Lee Harvey Oswald had involvement on purpose. Was it groomed or set up? That's my question.
Well, I think he was set up. I think he was exactly what he said he was, which was a patsy. I think he was set up to do it. They didn't have faith in him to get it done. And here's what I think. I think it was a collaborative effort between LBJ and the mafia. That's who I honestly do. I think it was a collaborative effort between them, and I think Oswald was used as a patsy, and they set him up to think he was the one taking the shot, even though he wasn't.
Yeah, I agree with that. Well, that is mind-blowing. Holy shit.
Listen, that's all I have to contribute to.
No, I like that. No. Think about this. You can contribute right here. I guarantee this will allow you to get into this conversation right here. Maybe.
Okay.
We've all seen the movie with Mark Wahlberg, The Shooter.
Yes.
Oh, I love that movie.
You've seen how they did it in the movie.
Right.
That's what Hollywood's thinking. You don't think that this might, thank you. You don't think that this might have been like, that this can't happen in real life? Look how they planned it out in that movie.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it was, when I'm watching that movie, I'm thinking, that's kind of,
And his only saving grace was they did not know how he loaded and unloaded his gun.
Took the firing pin.
Yeah. They did not know that. They did not account for that.
No.
Well, in the original theory where there was the whole magic bullet theory, the thing they didn't account for was the fact that his seat was actually elevated and moved in a little bit so that he was sitting higher than Governor Connolly, who was sitting in the front seat. Governor Connolly was riding shotgun in the front seat. He was the governor of Texas at the time.
Yeah.
And so JFK's seat had been elevated and raised up. So that's why they couldn't figure out the trajectory of the bullet, like how he would have got the wounds that he got, and Governor Connolly, I can't say that, Governor Connolly, how he got the wounds that he got. Like it wasn't lining up from the school book depository building where he was taking those shots from. So it was a feasible shot, although from where he was sitting, it wasn't the smartest shot. Like the way he would have when he was actually shot at wasn't the smartest angle from his position.
Right.
From his position, it would have been coming head on to face him, but instead he waited till they curved around and the back was towards him.
Yeah, like you said, the magic bullet.
Yeah, they had the whole magic bullet theory, but that's why when that was originally that wasn't accounted for, so they figured out, oh wait a minute, wasn't really a magic bullet. But at the same time, they're like, yeah, but those bullets, they're not going to react that way. They're not going to go the straight shot like that. They're going to bounce around, and they're probably going to stop before they get that.
Right.
And so there's that theory, but I think they used Oswald, they used Ruby as a way to get rid of Oswald because he was the patsy that they set up for it, and they knew he would take the fall, which is exactly what happened.
Yeah.
But I do believe that it was a collaborative effort.
Well, if everything was on the up and up, why? And Courtney, I want your opinion on this. Why, if everything was on the up and up, why were they hiding the files for 75 years?
Because I think that's the collaborative effort side of it I'm talking about. That's why, because it was LBJ. I think it was LBJ because he couldn't stand Kennedy. Even though he was his vice president, LBJ was really way more conservative thinking than he was liberal, even though he was part of the liberal party. You all right?
Got net flying around here.
Sliding the shit. Slapping himself in the face and shit.
I had a net flying around. I'm still there.
They're stupid.
I'm sorry, I just can't. Okay, so here's something.
He's looking around for this thing. Son of a bitch, where is he?
Beat the shit out of him. What are you doing? Kicking my own ass.
You're so stupid.
So here's something that I kind of makes me think about. So you remember the Las Vegas shooter?
Yes.
I mean, I always thought that was sus. The whole.
I had a buddy that actually responded to that, and
What was the Las Vegas shooter? Remind me.
it was a country music concert.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay.
And they tracked the dude down super quick and all this stuff, but I don't know. It seemed
Stupid.
This thing is driving me insane.
There's this gnat that's,
Oh, it sucks. I'm telling
flies are attracted to shit.
you.
He's flying around his nose.
Oh, that hurt. Stand up as that.
You can't help it. Just, you're stupid. Okay. Yeah.
I'm sorry that we have a gnat here that's bothering you.
He's seriously bothered by this thing.
It's buzzing like buzzing my eyeballs. Supposed to let me. It's a small gnat, but when it's
shit breath, this flies attracted.
Probably. Man.
All right, honey, we gotta get together.
I'm crying. Shut up.
I'm sorry. I'm so glad we've been able to laugh at your expense tonight. It's really it's helped me out a lot emotionally, to be honest with you.
Thank you.
It's like making fun of you is like therapy.
Thank you.
Okay. Anyway.
So
yeah, that's what we need.
So JFK.
So I think it's like I said, I think it's a collaborative.
You're talking about Connolly.
But yes, I think it's a collaborative effort between the mafia and LBJ. LBJ couldn't stand. LBJ, 5 second, 1,000th rule.
Mm-hmm.
LBJ couldn't stand. Hold on a minute, god dang it. I'm back.
5,000 second rule. Was there cookies and cream? No, they're dirt.
Know what I mean?
So for those characters listening, I just dropped candy on the floor.
Yeah, it's gravel. That's not
And
cookies.
you ate it.
Mm-hmm.
Don't mention that. That was a good piece.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm sorry. Kennedy, what?
Magic bullet or Connolly?
No, I think we're past Connolly.
Listen, I got something for you.
What's that?
This is way off topic.
All right.
Are you ready?
That's not us at all.
Talking shit.
What came first? The chicken or the egg?
I can answer this question. The chicken.
Mm-hmm.
Because of evolution.
Because God created chicken.
You just think he said, bam, there's a chicken?
You ever see the picture? You ever see the meme of the chicken and the egg laying in bed? And the egg smoking a cigarette? It says, which one?
No, I don't know
What?
that one.
It's an egg laying in bed, like covered up with blankets, a little bit. And it's got a chicken laying next to it. And the egg smoking a cigarette.
So which one came first?
Which one? It just says which one.
The chicken and the egg had sex.
Which one came first?
Wouldn't that be pedophilia, though?
Yeah, chicken or egg.
Yeah, if a chicken and an egg had sex, wouldn't that be pedophilia?
Not if it's, I don't know.
That egg's still an infant.
Yeah.
That'd be pedophilia.
I mean, fucking an egg to begin with is kind of fucked up.
How do you fuck an egg?
No matter what species you are. Hypothetically.
Yes, carefully. I mean,
Hypothetically, that is.
Idiot.
That's a U.S. I'm like, you don't want to crack the shell.
I think it's the chicken, man, because the other animals, other egg-laying animals evolved into chickens.
Have you heard?
Through evolution.
Chuck?
But that's your theory.
It's science.
So is a COVID mask.
That wasn't real scientists. Those were government-paid scientists. They don't
Touche.
count. Those government-paid scientists, they don't count.
Touche, like it. You see where I'm going with this?
Yeah. Touche, honky tonk.
Mm-hmm. Where you going, Courtney? What about chicken or the egg?
She's gonna go rabbit hole down something else. So back to the Kennedy thing. What I was saying about it being the mafia, and LBJ couldn't stand Kennedy. The mafia was pissed off at Kennedy because he let his brother, he was ADA at the time. No, I think he was DA at the time. Or no, what do you call it? Attorney General. He's Attorney General at the time. So he let him pretty much go after the mafia folks because they were all battling heads with Robert Kennedy. And they were like, dude, we got you elected. It was us helping your dad get you elected, and this is our treatment we're going to get.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck you, dude. Yeah. And so I think it was a collaborative effort between them and LBJ.
Yeah, I think LBJ had a big push to get Kennedy out.
He obviously clearly had a political incentive, right, to get rid of Kennedy because he would be the successor to the office.
Right.
And then he would also still qualify for 2 more elections. Because you can only be elected twice.
Right. But
you can inherit the office.
Right.
And still be, so he would get to be quite a long time.
Right.
Word.
What else did you have, Courtney?
I don't have anything.
I thought you were looking something up.
Oh. No, I was trying to.
Okay, or just on TikTok?
Here, were we that boring? You were trying to look stuff up.
I was, but I couldn't find it. So.
All right, so how about this? Because Josh hit on this a minute ago, too. Aliens.
Of all the supernatural things that I believe could possibly be real, that's the one
That's the one you're going with?
Might be the one I can get on board with, is aliens. Because we're not...
Explain why.
Because we're not made up of unique items in outer space, right? We're a carbon-based life form. So we're made up of hydrogen, carbon, and oxygen. That's the 3 things that you need to have a carbon-based life form survive in an atmosphere. Those are 3 of the top 5 most common elements found in space. So it's likelihood of other life developing exactly the way ours has is so high because we're not made up of anything spectacular. We're made up of 3 of the most common elements in all of the periodic table and all of space. So that's why I think it's a whole lot likely that I believe we might be a little interest to them.
You know why I think Josh said all that, but I just think there could be some other form of life out there.
Yeah, there could be.
I think there could be. Do I think
from a whole nother planet?
I think that different? We, as a species, has actually touched space. No.
That we've actually what?
Touched space.
You don't think we've been into space?
No.
Do you think all the rocket launches were fake?
Oh yeah.
Really?
No,
why did I not know this?
We've been in space.
Absolutely, we've been in space.
You have flat earther too.
Oh, and we've not seen any other life form. You guys believe that we have other life forms?
You know what percentage of space we are?
Yeah, we've only touched a small.
So here's the deal: saying that we've never experienced any other life form.
But how do you know? How do you know?
Hear me out. Honey.
How big the space?
Hear me out. With how big space is. And I'll answer that question in a second, but with how big space is, to say that the amount of it we've explored, we know there's no life form. I heard this analogy is like taking a cup of water, dipping it in the ocean, holding it up and going, no, there's no whales in this water. You don't have near a big enough sample to know whether there's actually life or not, because we've only seen a microscopic piece of the universe. What we do know is the universe is ever expanding. So we can do the math and backtrack to know, we know how fast it's expanding. We know how fast that expansion is accelerating.
Yeah, Courtney.
Look at this doubtful face.
Here's where I've always had the issue. But how do we know? Who is the person that gives the final say that says this is what it is?
God.
So
Okay,
What do you mean?
You say God.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you mean? Who's the final person to say what is what? I mean, it's like understanding how they determine things in science. It's through, you have a hypothesis. I mean, you remember like this process in science class as a kid.
Who came up with science, though?
Who came up with science?
Who came up with it? Like, who came up with that method
of experimentation?
Yes.
It's rabbit hole.
And said that is the correct way. Like, how do you know 100% that everything that we know collectively is 100% fact scientifically?
It's through the consistency of result through experimentation.
See, I don't know, because I feel like science is a lot of hypotheses and trying to prove it.
It is. That's the beauty of
You're
science.
You're trying to prove it. So a lot of it is based on a what if, and you're trying to prove it.
If someone's trying to prove a theory correct, they're a bad scientist. If you have a theory, you should review the facts and see if it matches your theory.
But I'm
if you're
like,
trying to prove,
gave us like, where did the English language come from? Like, who developed language? Like, where did that actually stem from? Like, give me like a good answer on that. Like,
that's an evolutionary thing too. It started like anything else, grunts and growls.
I don't know. I don't think it's that simple. I really don't.
Well, it is, because you look at like,
I think it's kind of a little bit. Honestly, is a little bit of a cop-out.
No, it's like languages evolved.
I think we want to think we understand it, but I don't think we do.
Oh, I think we do. Like that's your language thing. Language evolved. Look at Spanish. Huh?
We understand it.
I think we understand it to a point, but we don't like.
But look at Spanish, English, and French. Those are all Latin-based languages. They're all evolutions, separate evolutions of Latin.
But what's crazy to me is they say Latin is a dead language, but yet all of the languages.
We're Latin based. We're not actual Latin. We're
Latin from Latin.
Medical uses Latin too.
Well, who made up the languages?
Latinos.
Who made up the different languages that said this means this word means this? Tell me who came up with a fork means a fork? Tell you cannot.
I don't know the answer to that question.
There's 4.
No, not all the time. No.
4. They're like 4.
I was just saying, can you give me an answer?
I don't know the answer to that. I've never researched that, though. That might be something to check into, to figure out exactly where did language originate.
Words as we understand them now.
Right.
Who gave those words the definitions that they mean? Like, like cuss words. Good example. Why do they mean something bad? Like, why is that like?
At what point did we establish the word shit as a cuss word?
Exactly.
Why is it a cuss word and not the word poop? Why is poop not worse than shit?
Like, explain. There's no science behind to explain.
That I can't explain. The only thing I can figure
out
is
what I'm saying.
Influence.
Like, explain that to him. Like, how do we collectively know?
Decide that that's vulgar to say.
And how do people know when they're speaking French? Like, why were they born knowing to speak that way?
Well, you're not. That's a learned thing.
You learn that.
You're not born knowing a language. You learn a language.
Just like deaf people that
but where did that part of the language come from, though, and why hasn't it?
Okay, we like Josh.
Why hasn't all a language evolved into the same thing if it is all?
How about
from the same origin?
Well, it's kind of like
does that make sense?
Deaf people. Look at deaf people that they can't speak, so they had to come up with a language with their hands.
Well, not just that, but like you look at so you know how in the South people say the word "you."
But again, how do they collectively get people to understand?
I'm explaining that. You know how in the South we tend to run words together. Like we don't say "you guys," we say "you'uns," or we don't say "you all," we say "y'all." How we tend to we've created a new word in the South. It's a Southern slang term. We've created a new word that happens time and time again. The language evolves into something totally different.
I understand that part.
That's evolution.
But give me a word that somebody came up with.
The Riz.
What?
What we were talking about when I came in here earlier about the language, trying to figure out the language.
Right.
The kids.
To say Riz?
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's based off of an original. I'm saying like the original term of a word.
What was the newest word that was entered into the dictionary that we now recognize as a new word that never existed before?
No, my thing is, how did we establish that? Scientifically, explain to me how we established
Language.
Yes. You can't.
I do keep trying to explain that to you. You're not hearing me.
You're saying evolution, but you can't like pinpoint how we.
Do I personally know what?
Because how can you explain that we all collectively understand it?
That's what I'm saying. I don't personally know when the origin of language began, but I can say I have seen that you can see over time the evolution of language, where it started as a very few different languages, and those languages all broke off to various different dialects that became completely more languages. Like Latin did with English, Spanish, French. So that hold on a minute. So all those. Well, I'm trying to make a point here. Yeah. So all those languages evolved from very few languages, and those I don't know how far that goes back and where the original language is, but they're all just branched off from various other languages. That's how we got so many different languages.
Listen, I'm just saying those are my high ideas because nobody can explain to me why somebody decided a fork is a fork.
Do animals
and
not
that's
have
how
their
we
own?
know what it is.
Yeah, how we establish.
Do animals not have their own communication? Animals communicate.
But we still don't know exactly how they communicate. We can guess. We can speculate.
But they do have their own. Many animals do have their own language.
I'm not saying that.
Whales and things like that. They have their own. They communicate and know what things mean.
But we don't know we don't know exactly how, because we're not them.
We don't speak their
but
language.
As humans, we know. I'm saying collectively.
But they're starting to figure that out.
I know
with
we
whales
get
now.
taught things, but I'm just saying it had to start somewhere, and there is a limit to how much science can explain things.
No, there's a limit to how much of the science we understand, and that limit can always change because we can learn. But there's no limit to what science can explain. Science explains everything. Everything that's ever existed is scientifically explained. We just don't always know how to find those answers.
Okay.
Everything to me. But I'm spoken from a non-religious person. He probably has a completely different point of view.
So, how do you explain aliens? Do we have them or not?
Absolutely. I think there's no way that life form has not evolved in a similar fashion to us throughout the galaxy. I believe with billions and billions and billions of planets, with billions and billions and billions of galaxies out there.
So, do you think that there are aliens among us?
I don't know. And here's why I say there may or may not be. If you take us as far as evolutionary goes, we are less than 2% more advanced in DNA than the common chimpanzee. So if an alien is even just 2% more advanced in DNA than we are in intelligence, what are they capable of? When you consider that chimpanzees are just now starting to learn how to use basic tools in their evolution. Use rocks.
I know some chimpanzees.
They're smarter than some people that you know? Yeah, I get that too. But my point being is that if a DNA variance of that little, I think it's like 1.8% or 1.9%, that little is the difference in evolutionary progress of a chimpanzee versus a human. That difference in gap. I mean, you're talking people that's left the planet versus people that are just learning how to use a rock as a tool. That much difference in evolution. What if there was that 1.8% more advanced than us? Or would we even be significant to that alien? Or would we just be like a pet, like a monkey is to us?
I wonder when God was making the chimpanzee and then making man, why he put that 2% difference in there.
Hey, can I play a little devil advocate?
Of course.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, between the two of you.
Yes.
So, how do you think your belief in aliens is any different from his belief in God?
Thank you. That's a good
Because nobody's seen an alien. It's just stories. Right?
Correct.
Right? Same with God. I'm honestly, I'm just curious.
Well, here's why.
I just think that's a good.
I got the answer for you. I can tell you the answer to that very confidently. A book of stories is that. It's a book of stories. I'm not basing mine off stories of people talking about their experience with aliens. I'm basing what I'm doing off of the math of of us being made of the most common ingredients in the galaxy, right? We're made of the 3 most common elements in all of the galaxy, and of the top 5 in the galaxy. Helium being another one, but that's inert. It's irrelevant. So, but we're made of the 3 most common. So it's the likelihood of the 3 most common elements developing on another planet with similar parameters of ours as far as oxygen and atmosphere and things like that, and then developing the same way is extremely high when you consider there's billions and billions of planets out there and billions of galaxies. So it's just a mathematical thing. It has nothing to do with people's stories about their experience of getting abducted by some UFO. A lot of that's just dumbass people looking for attention. That it's the numbers that give me the reason to believe that.
Okay. I guess I guess
Okay.
where I am trying to go with this is your belief in the science part of it.
Right. I believe in the math.
Yeah.
Whereas he, that faith in the math to be there.
Yeah.
His faith is based in stories.
No, mine's based
were-
on
I'm not
mine's based on who made the galaxy.
Now, that I don't know.
Okay, I guess here's what I'm trying to say. So your faith, your belief, faith for
It's a belief in aliens. I don't know for a fact. It's just
not even just like aliens, but the math part of it.
okay.
You're taking that as to be the truth, the correct scientific truth, right?
It's I don't know that it to be fact. It's just where I put my confidence because the numbers suggest that
is my point right there.
It's faith.
That's where you
it's
put
faith,
your
Yeah, because I've never seen an alien, so I don't have that proof.
On that side of it, that's where he puts his.
Right. This
So
is I'm talking about probability basically and statistics. The probability of there being aliens out there is very high because of the numbers.
Yeah.
I don't know that there's aliens out there. I've never seen any. I can't prove it.
But again,
but the probability of it is high because of the numbers. So I believe it's in all likelihood.
I get
it's out.
So to be fair, that's your belief.
Correct.
Okay.
I agree with Josh.
I honestly,
I know. Here's what I
kind of point out a little bit.
Here's what I agree with Josh on: the probability that God made this galaxy and universe so large, that potential for other life form to be in there, absolutely. Because I don't think we can't be the only. I'm not so vain to think that we are the only. I mean, I know that God loves us. My religion stuff teaches that, but can he not love another planet?
Correct. And maybe your God has a reason for not teaching you about that planet, not teaching that planet about you. Maybe there's a reason.
And just to be fair, here's a little devil advocate.
Yeah.
Why is it mentioned in the Bible with everything else?
Again, because your God might have a reasoning that he doesn't want you to know about that planet and that planet to know about you.
Yeah, God.
I can find the argument for that side. That's an easy argument.
God imparts the wisdom that he wants us to have. And here's the thing, too. Look at it this way. The older you get, the smarter you get, right?
Yeah.
The closer to death you get, the more you learn.
Yeah.
And then you die. There's a reason that God doesn't make us knowing all this stuff at birth, and then we forget.
Here's my only problem with that is it's an easy fallback answer to go, well, it's not meant for us to understand all God's will.
It's not.
Right, but that's an easy fallback answer for, I don't know, so it must be God's will.
No.
And maybe it's not meant for me to know.
I've seen God's will play out a lot in my life. I'm personal experiences. So I've seen God's will play out. So when I don't really question that so much. I just, I live by a saying that says, you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I live by. But, and you know, we've had this discussion before, so I'm not trying to convert anybody. I'm not.
Same. I mean, I'm not dissing anybody.
No.
I'm just not religious.
I think it's healthy to get different perspectives.
Yeah.
And that's why I like to play devil's advocate, because I like to because I know people are going to think that. Like, there's going to be people out there thinking that, like, okay, well, there's this side of it. Even on your side, you know, I mean, I'm still trying to figure out.
Or that we're arguing. We're not arguing.
Yeah, no.
And that's where you and I can have debates, and that's a good thing.
Yeah.
And that's also a test.
And I knew I could do that with you guys. That's why I was like, I did him, and then I did you. I'm like, okay, well, play a little bit, you know. Because I'm just saying these are things I've thought of And I was just curious to see what y'all's opinions were, and everybody has a different opinion.
And I'll be honest with you, the biggest part of my religion, the biggest thing they teach you, or that you discover, is faith. It all boils down to faith. 100%. I can't prove everything that I sit here and tell you, but I've seen a lot of it in my life.
And the very definition of faith is belief absent of fact. That's faith. You don't have facts. Right. You don't know for sure. It's belief absent of fact.
So, I mean, I'm not going to
absent of evidence. But what I will say about the Christian belief, and I could to complement Christian beliefs, is there's actually a lot of very valuable lessons that I have found, especially reading the Bible. When I read something like the Christian Bible and I see the stories of David and Goliath, for me, that's a great story about overcoming things bigger than yourself, right? I take a lot of value in that story. When I go look at the story of Adam and Eve, to me, I look at avoiding evil temptation, right? Being able to have the self-discipline to avoid evil temptation. That's the value of the story that I take away from that. So I find a lot of values in that, even in the 10 Commandments. If you take out the ones that are specific to deity, and you play with the cameras, you take away the ones that are specific to the deity. The other ones, the honor their mother and father, don't kill, don't steal, all these things. They're all just really good, proven life lessons to go by. They work. I mean, they work.
But included in the what you call the deities, the 10 Commandments.
Right. 4 of those commandments are based solely on the deity. The other 4 are behavior-based that are absent of how you treat the deity. They're just how you conduct yourselves in society.
There's 10, but the other one is, there's one in there, thou shalt have no other gods before me.
Right. That's one of the 4 based on deity.
Right. So if you go by that alone, and then you talk about David and Goliath, you're right about what you said there as well. But with God, things are possible. All things are possible with God with you.
Right.
Because David had God with him.
Right. That's the lesson from the religious perspective. Sure.
Right. So I just clarifying that.
Yeah. And like I said, for me, if I take the religious side of it, it still has value in story, because I still find having the confidence and the courage to rise above things that can be bigger than yourselves, or you view as bigger than yourself. Right. So there's still value there for me. So the other thing that I look at that book as well is when you consider its influence in the world, in society throughout the world, not just in Christian-based societies, but in societies that maybe have other religions, but it's been the Christians' influence into their religions or their societies. It's enormous. You can't take away from the history that Christianity or Islam, or those 2 probably some of the bigger ones, but that they've had in Judaism, that they've had in how much they have shaped the way our planet functions and operates. Right? I mean, most every country functions and operates and is even governed for the most part based on what their original core religious beliefs were in that country.
Right.
So to take away from the influence of those books and to not recognize that, I think would be absent-minded. A lot of atheists are that way. They tend to ignore the fact that those books have a tremendous influence on society and how we behave as a society, and some of our moral conscience and moral values. I mean, the influence is there. Yeah. I don't think that defines morality. I don't think those religions define what morality is, but I think they encourage a positive morality more often than they don't.
Right.
So there's some value
because I really want to give a really honest opinion right now.
Go ahead. That's what we're doing. I'm being honest about who I believe. I mean, and I know it's going to freak a lot of people out, but that's okay. I mean, I'm happy to answer questions.
No, I'm not. This is something I'll talk about off camera.
Okay.
And off podcast.
She's afraid family members are listening. Me and her don't have the same beliefs as far as religion goes. Like
Well, I just feel like.
But we respect each other. Like if I met somewhere where a family's praying at dinner, I mean, I remain quiet.
I feel like.
Keep in mind, it's just talking shit podcast, and we don't want to delve out.
Yeah, no, I don't. No,
we don't want to get into your personal life.
No.
I don't, like I said,
I don't care to talk about it. I'll talk about it off camera first, and then we'll see. But I mean, I have some opinions, but I can't. Like you said, I'm not saying I don't believe. I'm not saying that at all.
Yeah.
I do.
We definitely. She definitely
am I?
That's where we differ.
Struggling right now.
God understands it.
Yeah. I've had
she's been hit. We've been hit hard.
Mm-hmm.
Well, hell, just my 30s in general. I'm 36, about to be 37. The last 6 years, there's been some great times. You've been there.
Yeah.
You're one of the best parts of that. But going into my 30s,
But throughout your 30s, you've been hit hard.
I started my 30s off with Robert. Like, my 30th birthday was the day after is when he passed away.
Right.
And then here I am, 36. And there's Avery. So, I'm struggling a little bit. I was already struggling after Robert, but
everything was
and your grandmother.
If everything was going good, you'd have no reason to turn to God. And God knows that you struggle.
Yeah, I know, but I just...
That's for faith. That's for my religion.
Please explain to them that I don't ever try to persuade you to not.
No, because
I don't want.
He doesn't.
I don't want anybody to think that if she's having a crisis of faith or having that has anything to do with my influence. Because I don't.
No.
I don't encourage her to believe one way or the other.
I respect his belief. He respects mine. He respects my family's. I don't push one way or the other. I don't care if people agree with that or not.
And she'll tell you that, like, if we're at family events and we're praying, I may not pray, but I remain quiet.
You know what? Addison got baptized. And even though he doesn't believe in that, he still showed up. He still showed up and went there and supported her.
Because that's what it meant to her. It meant something to her. So that was a bigger thing.
So, it
was important to her. So that was my deal. And it in my thoughts, it's like, it doesn't hurt me at all. It's not like it's going to cause me any problems. And if it means something to her, then it's worth showing up for.
My thing is...
That's how I looked at it.
I don't go with the mainstream belief in Christianity. I believe in something in my own way. I don't believe that you have to go to church to celebrate God or live for God or anything like that. I really just feel like it's the way you live. Most importantly, is the basic thing. But a lot of churches and stuff are in my experience, have been more corrupt or more judgmental or not as welcoming as you would think. And maybe that is some of the churches I've been to, but I'm just saying it's just not.
I think there are churches out there that truly are out there for the worship of the Christian God or the Buddhist God or whatever. But there's a lot of churches out there that have turned into a business, and that's an unfortunate situation.
Yeah.
And I know it has to operate their finances as a business, even though they're a church. You have to run your finances that way to a point. But it always bothers me when I go to these mega churches and I see these priests and they're driving around in Cadillacs and they've got, they're driving around in Mercedes, and I'm like, man, is that a good? And I know you this is what you do full time. You run the church full time. You don't have another job. This is your thing. But is that a constructive way of spending your congregation's money?
Okay, so
it's on a Mercedes.
Do you know that saying I was talking about, the money is the root of all evil?
It's not.
It's not. It's the love of money.
Right.
But you're telling me those preachers that are driving around and those are not putting the love of money
before their congregation. Why would you need? Why?
No, because.
Do you need to drive an $80,000 car, or could you drive a $30,000 car and put $50,000 back into your
if you're a surgeon and you're making $250,000, $300,000 a year, why don't you go buy a piece of shit car? I'm not saying you, I'm saying let them go buy a piece of shit car and give the rest their money. But these preachers are making good money at some of these big churches that make a lot of money because they get paid well, just like whether you have a shitty doctor.
Drive a piece of shit car, but don't drive an $80,000 car when a $30,000 car would do.
It's not going off the congregation's money, is what I'm saying. It's a paycheck that they receive
from the church,
right?
Which is funded through the congregation's input.
Just like any business, though, like you said, it's a business. Any business, a preacher's going to go where they're going to get the highest amount of money a lot of times, right?
That's the part that I struggle with.
Yeah.
The morality of that, I have a problem.
Well, they're doing their trade, just like I did my trade.
But your religion shouldn't be a trade.
It is.
It's trade?
It is.
Like being a carpenter?
Okay.
Like a carpenter.
Here's what I'm
You
gonna.
got the reference there.
Here's where I thought the whole thing about becoming a preacher or going into that type of line. It was about sacrifice. Your sacrifice because you're doing it for.
Mhm.
Is that just like for Catholic priests or
No, I don't know. I was raised Lutheran, but my thing is they did sacrifice. They didn't go buy a $300,000 car.
Wow. Or they're living in a 5,000. It's a husband and a wife.
I don't
with
care.
No kids.
I don't care about that part of it.
Like it's a husband and a wife with no kids, and they're living in an 8,000 square foot house. It's like, why? Why are you living 1,500 square foot? You'll be fine in a 1,500 square foot house. You can live on a $300,000 house. You don't need a $6 million house. That is a racket.
$6 million home is very, very lavish and overboard. Yes.
But
Yes.
so many of those priests of those mega churches live a lavish
I think
lifestyle.
that's more like
Yes. No,
I know.
I disagree with that. I know
Yeah,
what you're
Joel
saying.
Osteen.
Yeah.
That's what he was talking
I'm
about.
saying
was
that-
that
okay.
part.
But
Yeah.
if your paycheck is funded by the congregation's tithe, and donations, to me it's a disrespectful way. If you're there for religious leadership, that's your role. You're a religious leader. You're a leader in your religious community, and you're supposed to be living in the Christian beliefs. From what I understand, you're supposed to be living a more humble lifestyle when you're a religious leader like that. You're supposed to live by humble means, and to be living in excess through the funding of the church and the tithe of the people who are trying to invest into their church, not their priest's fancy car. They want to invest into better pews, more updated Bibles.
I know. So I know.
A nicer pulpit, a better quality baptism pool.
I'm related, kind of, sort of, to a preacher from a good-sized church. This guy he lives in a nice home. He drives a nice vehicle. He has a wife. He raises family. And he takes great care of his grandchildren. And he's a great member of many of the help to the homeless in the community. This guy makes a good living doing what he does. But he sacrifices a lot of time away from his family.
Yeah, and that's not. Yeah, that's not the same.
That's why I was saying that.
Right, yeah.
No. We're
guys-
talking about like Joel Osteen or
Yeah.
something like that. Like, have you ever seen the Righteous Gemstones on the
No.
Max TV? It is about a preacher's family who have made it
Yeah.
over the top. Like they're making millions of money. And stuff.
I get what
I
you're
think
saying.
that's what he's touching on, right?
I get what he's saying.
It's those people for sure. Those kind of guys. But I be honest with you, even though I might not agree with someone's religion, I can respect someone who truly lives by their religion.
Right.
More than I can someone who claims to be part of religion and lives by none of their values.
But like you're talking about the $6 million homes, yeah, I agree with you. You see where I was
Right, but
where I was
those are the people that I'm talking about. They claim to live by their religion, but I don't see any evidence of that value system.
like you said, because the person I know would do without before their church would,
Right.
before any.
Yeah.
member-
No.
So-
That's not
so-
what he was.
No.
I would have,
No.
like I said, in
Because
me,
there are those preachers like.
in good conscience, I would feel like I'm misappropriating funds if I'm driving an $80,000 car and living in a $2 million home.
I got you. Yeah.
If I know I could reinvest that money back into the church and have a better pews for the congregation, the same congregation that's funding this church. I put better pews down, put a better, pulpit down, put a better, baptism pool down. You could put all that stuff down, reinvest the money back into the church. I would
Yeah.
feel if you're not doing that and you're living lavish lifestyles like that,
Right.
it's a misappropriation of
I get
of
on
the
board with
church's
that
funds.
all day long. Yeah.
And I find that happens more commonly than it doesn't.
Yeah.
That's just my observation. Maybe I'm wrong. I've never truly looked at the statistics on that,
I know from
and how you would measure those statistics. I don't know.
I know from dealings in my line of work that I retired from, I had the honor to work with a lot of men of the cloth, I guess you would say,
Mhm.
and whether it be Catholic, whether it be down near Southern Baptist, whether it be Jewish, or Pentecostal. I mean, I worked with all walks of men of the cloth.
Mhm.
And all of them that I worked with had a common goal to do good.
Yeah.
To, like you talked about earlier, do overall good.
Or just live by the value system that you're preaching to everyone else.
And they do.
Be the
And
representation
these guys,
of that.
they live okay. They live decent. but it's not a $6 million home. But to watch these guys work, it really and truly is a calling, and it solidifies my faith, watching this. It solidifies my faith watching this, watching these guys or gals, do God's work. It's like, okay, this is what it's all about.
Right.
Because I've seen people in their worst hour rely solely on faith in their worst hour. And it's like, yeah, bless it, humbling. It's very humbling. I mean, sitting right here, it makes hair stand.
Right.
It's like, because I've seen it with my own eyes.
And that's the good, that to me, it's just the kind of people that take advantage of those that truly have faith.
Mm-hmm.
They take advantage of that for financial gain.
And the Bible
for someone who's willing to take advantage of someone's religious beliefs, even though I may not believe with that religious beliefs, is someone willing to take advantage of someone because of their religious beliefs, and they could take because of their faith. If you're willing to take advantage of that kind of person, that's the definition of an evil person, because you were taking advantage of someone who is very vulnerable. People are vulnerable in their faith, and they're vulnerable because
well, that's what upsets me about the Catholic Church a lot, like Catholic priests on that. Like, I don't know, but I feel like you just hear a lot.
A few bad ones mess it up for the rest of the good.
I know, but I just feel like, but that's been like a problem in the Catholic Church, though. Like, it got swept under the rug with so many of them.
See, I could look.
So it's like,
from a religious standpoint, though, here's how I look at that. What better way to turn people away from God than to attack their house of worship? So if I was the devil, and what I'm saying, if I was the devil, what I would do, I'm going to start tearing their house of worship apart. I wanted to hit them at their core belief.
Literally in their foundation.
I'm going to tear their foundation apart so that they're questioning everything that foundation that stems from that. That's how I would hit them.
No, and I get that. But like, when it's been proven,
it has, yes,
over and over again that it was been swept under the rug,
but how many good priests are out?
Yeah, and I feel like
compared to we only hear about the bad.
I have to agree with that, because I had when I lived out in West Knoxville, there was a priest out there that was. All Saints Catholic Church. He was a phenomenal guy. He was a friend. Was literally a friend of me and my ex-wife. He was just became our friend.
Mm-hmm.
And his name was Father Michael, and he's a great guy. He's Father Larry Michael, or Father Michael Wood. I'm sorry, Michael Wood. He just a really good dude. Me and him didn't agree on religion whatsoever.
Right.
But we sat like you and I sat and cut up and joked around. And I remember one time, I'm gonna tell a story on him. I was walking. I was trying to get in shape at the time. I was just trying to exercise shape. So I was walking. Oh shit! Right on. But so the Catholic Church there had a walking trail that you could walk around, like a walking trail that they had concreted in or whatever. So I was just out there walking the trail and hanging out and doing my thing. And I sat down on the park bench, and he sits down next to me. He sees me out and about, so he walks over, sits down next to me, and I could see him kind of looking uncomfortable. I was like, "Man, what's going on with you?" He goes, and he was Irish, by the way, because this is Irish Catholic. So he's Irish. He's got this Irish accent. And he's like, "Can I be honest with you, brother?" I was like, "Yeah, man." And he goes, "I kind of feel like an asshole right now." These are his words. He goes, "I kind of feel like an asshole right now." I'm like, "Why?" He goes, "There's this gentleman who's rather trying on your patience when you engage him in conversation." He said, "So but I know he's needing me." And I kind of just walked away and tried to avoid him. He goes, and now I'm sitting down and I'm having a conscience, battle my conscience. He's like, "I feel like an asshole because I need it." And he starts laughing. So he's like, "All right, I guess I need to go do the right thing. I'll holler at you later." I'm like, "All right, man, have a good one." And that was the dialogue.
Priests are people.
But it was just funny because it was like, you could tell like he was a super good guy, which is why he had that crisis of conscience in that moment. He's a super good guy. And he's like, "I need to put my own patience level aside. I need to go take care. I'm a man of the cloth. I'm supposed to be here to be there for people in need. This is what I've devoted my life to. I need to go do this." And it was like, you could just kind of see the wheels turning in his head, and you realize just how much of a human he was in that moment.
Right.
And it was a neat. Still love the dude to death. He had to move to a different parish. He didn't have to move to a different parish, but he got a promotion somehow, or however that works. So he ended up moving to a different parish. And I'll miss him, but he was one of the few people who I could truly be that completely different in beliefs. And I mean, it doesn't get much further than you're an actual Catholic priest than the difference, but we just got along so well because it was just, I think we had the same value system and how to treat people. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I know exactly. I met some Catholic priests they're stand-up people.
Oh, yeah, he was, dude. Stand-up people. And he ran a tight ship around there. He didn't, he was easy to talk to, but he was very, he would bust my balls about stuff too. Because if like when I started growing my hair out once before and I didn't last long, but he'd come up and goes, "When you gonna cut that hair?"
Well, like Courtney said, there was a lot of them, but that was all over the news. Boom, 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 boom.
Yeah, you only hear about the bad shit because it makes for news.
There's so many Catholic churches throughout the world that we are only hearing, kind of like the galaxy thing. We're only hearing about a small percentage of things, Just, but unfortunately, we're hearing about bad shit,
Well, you're always going to hear about bad shit over good shit because that's what makes interesting news, unfortunately.
Right.
And that's what people want to consume is all the bad shit.
Right.
So they don't want to hear all the good stuff. Like she was talking about law enforcement, it's that way. With with the religious leaders, it's that way.
Mm-hmm.
You're only ever going to hear about anybody who's out there to do good. You're only going to hear about the bad shit.
Right.
So, wow, we went deep.
Over 2 hours now.
You know what's crazy is we were debating on if we were even going to keep rolling because we didn't know if we really wanted have enough material. Then we went into that deepest.
That's all right.
And you're welcome.
And you're talking shit.
So we'll do an outro and then be done with it.
Well,
thank y'all for listening to this episode of Just Talking Shit with your host,
Courtney,
Josh,
and Chris.
All right. We'll see y'all next week.
Deuces.